President Ronald Reagan signed an order authorizing the CIA to use $19 million to set up U.S. training and funding for the Contras. But $19 million wasn't enough to overthrow a government. The CIA needed more money. This information was found buried in pages of U.S. Senate documents.
What's up, party people, man? I think we finally might have got this thing working right, yo. We've been having a couple little technical difficulties in terms of getting this out to you because we got a heck of a show planned for y'all today, bro. I mean, I always keep forgetting to put my eyes on. Like, I'm not embarrassed about not being able to see, but sometimes, you know, it's easier for me to see with with the glasses off. So yeah, man, we getting into this whole thing, you know, Iran Contra. You know, realize that a lot of people, man, just don't even know what it is. Okay, been talking to a lot of folks. You know, I'm talking. I'm not just about regular people on the street. I'm talking about even supposedly, you know, educated, learned people who are in the know. I just realized it either happened so long ago, or they don't connect up the dope. That on some level, man, that we're missing a piece. But I'm glad that Trump started talking about this anti-weaponization. Right. And, you know, it actually coincides with a couple things because at the same time, he's talking about this anti-weaponization bill and funding the dudes who stormed the Capitol, you know, and committed every act of illegal crime you could imagine in this country. Right. Somehow he's opened the door for a broader conversation that we've been needing to have about the federal government being weaponized. Right. You know, don't get me wrong. Black Lives Matter is and will always be an important movement, right? But if we be honest, man, that Black Lives Matter, it died off. You know, it's been brought back to life with the recent shootings and, you know, the child case, and, you know, it's unbelievable that, you know, if we're finally remembering and saying Latasha Harley. I worked on a series called Two Sides, where, you know, we dealt with cases that was happening since Latasha Harley, but it was in the 20 teens. Eric Garner. You know, so while we have not connected a bunch of dots, it's really a circle, man, that's all connected, right? It's the Dr. King to Tupac. What the fuck happened in between? Crack. Crack happened. But why did crack happen? How did crack happen? It's too simplified to say that, oh, just Rick Ross and a bunch of drug dealers got a bunch of people in the hood got together. Right? The anti-weaponization fund is a good idea, but it needs to be supporting the right people, the people who the government was really weaponized against, as I believe is a massive cover-up. So listen, man, I'm not gonna delay this, you know, any longer. I'm gonna make sure that we get right into it because you guys need to know first and foremost. What was the Iran-Contra affair? This is from the History Channel. Okay? It's not something that we made up. This is from the History Channel. All right? Let's get into it.
It was one of America's most notorious presidential scandals that almost cost Ronald Reagan his presidency. The Iran-Contra affair. In the early 1980s, the U.S. was still in a Cold War with Russia, and anti-communist sentiment was strong. During his presidential campaign, Reagan promised to assist anti-communist insurgencies around the world. For a brief time under Reagan, the CIA trained and assisted groups fighting communist leaders abroad. Reagan was particularly interested in a group called the Reagan.
We need to make sure that you guys understand exactly what this is talking about, okay? That Ronald Reagan was very interested in supporting this group called the Contras, right? That this is all, everything that's been happening has been under the guise of national security, fighting communism. And so at that point, because we were fighting communism and because it was national security, I guess all things went. You know what I'm saying? I guess it meant that everything was good. You could do whatever. So we're going to back it up, but I want to make sure you guys caught that point. I run Contra. This is what this is talking about. How this whole thing started. Let's get back into it.
Groups like the Contras. This didn't stop Reagan. The president told his national security advisor, Robert McFarlane, to help the Contras anyway, regardless of the cost. McFarlane found opportunity in Iran. In 1985, an Iranian...
Y'all hear what he said? They found opportunity in Iran. Okay? So, what they not telling y'all, the piece they leaving out is that the dope was already flowing into America. They already had these players in place. Danilo Blandon was already pushing dope. Go back and see, if you go back and watch anybody who ever watched any of them drug documentaries and everything, y'all know it was already coming into Miami. It was already up in New York. They were still figuring it out, right? By 82, they looking for, they've been pushed out of different cities. They've been pushed out of Miami. You know what I'm saying? Like the whole shootout. Come on, man. Y'all know about Griselda Blanco. Excuse me. All the shows, all the documentaries, all the stuff you ever seen. This is all of it coming full circle right now. And so in between Dr. King and Tupac, crack, dope, targeted to all the street dudes, all the hustlers, everybody who trying to figure a way out. Because by this time, they know what they're going to do. Hey, man, I don't want to be distracting y'all too much. Is it too important? Let's get back into it.
Iranian-backed terrorist group held 7 American hostages in Lebanon. Reagan insisted his advisors find a way to bring the hostages home, saying, "I want you to do whatever you have to do to help these people keep body and soul together." So with permission from Reagan, McFarlane made a deal. The U.S. would give Iran weapons, and Iran would broker the release of the hostages. This happened even though Reagan publicly insisted he would not negotiate with terrorists, and despite the fact that there was a trade embargo with Iran. But that was just the tip of the iceberg. The deal with Iran didn't just secretly secure the release of the hostages in exchange for weapons. There was money involved. While $30 million had been allocated for the weapons, the CIA funneled a portion of that money to the Contras in Nicaragua, the group Reagan supported in their guerrilla fight against the Sandinista government. In 1986, the Lebanese newspaper Al Shura reported the arms deal, and everything began to unravel. That prompted an investigation by the U.S. Attorney General, who discovered that only $12 million of the $30 million actually went toward weapons for Iran. The rest of the money was sent to the Contras in Nicaragua.
Bro, you can't make this stuff up anymore than what's really happening. So, this guy, Danilo Blandon. Anybody who know Rick Ross, anybody who ever heard the real Rick Ross speak or talk about what was really happening back then, you heard him say this name, Danilo Blandon. Danilo Blandon is the go-between, right? He the dude who, you know, got all this popping. Yeah. Danilo Blandon is the person who kept trying to recruit, who's the person who recruited Rick for the CIA. You don't know that? So how does a dude like Danilo Blandon even meet a Rick Ross? Even identify and find a Rick Ross? Y'all understand what I'm talking about. So this is Iran-Contra. You know, I'm apologizing for any of the technical difficulties y'all have been seeing, but we've been trying to bring you this story, and every time something weird happens, but we playing through it, y'all. So now we got another important video we need to bring you. It all comes out. So let's get into it.
The revelations were explosive. Reagan denied the allegations that he had negotiated with terrorists. But Lieutenant Colonel Oliver North came forward and acknowledged that he diverted funds to the Contras. North also said Reagan knew about it. North's testimony would inspire the press and Congress.
All right, man. See, that's what I mean about how they speed by stuff, right? Oliver North, the person in charge of it all, more than likely the guy they tried to make it out to be a CIA agent, but really was a military dude, because when he kept going to the jungle in Snowfall, he was too easy going to the jungle in Snowfall. See, this is how they play it. They tell it, the president knew, and then they move on. The president of the United States was fully aware that there were drugs being funneled through Nicaragua to buy weapons to give to Iran, and now we're fighting Iran today. Right now, we're in a fight with Iran. This is your boy Darren Dickerson. You know, we are you're watching Discovery and Distrust. Please subscribe to Rick Ross's channel, like and share this video. This is a live stream. We wanted to do it live just because we feel like, you know, more people sometimes tune in when we do the lives at the same time, right? It's crazy because one, every American should know this. Every American should know this story. But right now, you know, we are in a conversation about the time between Dr. King and Tupac. You know, what really happened. And, you know, there's no simple answer. There's a simple answer. Dope. Cocaine. But the part that makes it not simple is Iran-Contra and the participation of the U.S. government. Right? You know, because we know where the current president is.
People have been hurt so badly by radical left lunatics that worked for the Biden administration and Sleepy Joe. They're vicious, they're violent, what they did to people. And of course, they went after me more than anybody else. They raided Mar-a-Lago and all the other things. But people have been badly hurt. They've committed suicide. They've lost their jobs. They've lost their families. They've lost their wives.
See what I mean? Okay, listen, man. This is exactly what I'm talking about. So now all of a sudden the video freezes while he's in mid conversation. I'm gonna go back in, make sure that, you know, I do the things I need to do because y'all need to hear what he's saying. We're gonna skip ahead a little bit. You think he ain't gonna try to figure out a way to get them that money? You think he ain't locked in on trying to get them that money? If they finna get some money, I think the victims of this should get some money. To
launch investigations against Reagan for the rest of his presidency. Texas Senator John Tower led the investigation into the scandal. The Tower Commission determined it was Reagan's lack of oversight that allowed Iran-Contra to happen, but did not implicate Reagan directly. It wasn't until another congressional investigation in 1987 that Reagan finally testified. On May 5, 1987, joint hearings were televised investigating the covert arms deal with Iran and the assistance to Nicaragua. The hearings would go on for 41 days.
Slippery suckers found a way to get out of it. So we ain't even gonna get into who was charged, who wasn't charged, who was named, who wasn't named. What we talking about is that there was an admission by the U.S. government, that these things happen. Now there's been a whole series, TV series dedicated to it. Snowfall. But none of that is the issue we facing now, because we're in the post of all of it. So think about what we're talking about. This is late 70s. They're going to say 82, but it took a time to get it set up and running. So late 70s, early 80s, they switching from heroin usage. Man, go watch The French Connection. Go watch Godfather of Harlem. The Doochie burnt up. So now they looking for other networks, other routes. We never ask enough questions about where did all the dope money go up to. The millions and billions made in the street, where's that money going up to? Trust and college funds and some of these people who you don't have, bruh, doctors, lawyers, Indian chiefs sold dope. Ask anybody in the 80s. 90s. You'd be surprised. But you see them on TV, rating, everybody was selling dope. But why? How? It was dirt cheap. And it was pure. Iran-Contra. So listen, man, this show was a little clunky. We did it live. I may edit this down, so I'm a wrap before we get to the 30-minute mark. We're gonna keep digging into this subject. But before we go, man, I really need y'all to make sure y'all know where the President of the United States stands on this very issue.
Tell you this, 97% of those people, you look at them, the FBI or whoever it was, because you had a lot of crooked cops, you had dirty cops. Comey was a dirty cop. Well, a guy like Bolton was a dirty cop.
Dirty cops existed. There's been movies about the dirty cops, dirty feds, dirty everything. So why does this group of people get to get reimbursed, get recompensated, and we're still sitting over here dealing with the effects of mass incarceration, of mandatory sentencing, of targeting, when our government was a part of bringing dope into the United States? It's a question you should ask yourself. And with the greater knowledge of nature, you must know what is good and what is not. You must know what is finite. You must know that which is material, physical, and otherwise.
America, welcome to IPTV.